Hello everyone, welcome to our last lecture for this class. It's on developing an argument. Developing an argument is perhaps the most important and most difficult function to master. To write a strong argument, you will need to do 4 things. Firstly, read widely, membaca secara luas. Secondly, think carefully, berpikir secara hati-hati. Thirdly, practice responding carefully, menjawab secara hati-hati. And fourthly, receive feedback and criticism from others. Coba dulu dan minta pendapat teman-teman. So, let's look at these 4 important elements, one by one. Firstly, reading widely. Now, I want to ask you, why have I selected these 2 pictures? On the left, we have the Mona Lisa, a famous painting by Leonardo da Vinci. On the right, Luke Skywalker. What has this got to do with reading widely? Well, both the Mona Lisa and Luke Skywalker were produced by 2 masters. Leonardo da Vinci was a master painter. Yoda was a master Jedi. And in order for Luke Skywalker to become an expert Jedi, he needed to be an apprentice, magang. He needed to learn from masters. And it's the same with us as scientists. If we want to get really good at doing research and writing papers, we need to learn from the masters, from the experts. How do we do that? We read the best journals. So these are 2 examples of perhaps the best journals for science in the world: Nature and the journal Science. In these journals, you will see the best papers written by the best scientists with the best arguments. We need to learn from the masters. Jadi untuk cari jurnal yang bagus, coba lihat di website ini, shimago.com. Kemudian masukkan di sini agriculture, pertanian. Tekan di sini, nanti yang keluar daftar semua jurnal yang terbaik untuk bidang itu. Ini sangat penting, makanya pakai bahasa Indonesia. Kenapa? Karena begitu sering saya baca penelitian dilakukan oleh mahasiswa UNAN dan mereka belum membaca secara luas. Tidak ada kutipan dari jurnal lain, dari penelitian lain. Mereka tidak tahu apa yang sudah dilakukan oleh peneliti-peneliti lain. Nah, tanpa membaca secara luas, kita tidak mungkin menulis sesuatu yang baik atau melakukan penelitian yang baik. Jadi tolong membaca secara luas. Ini sangat penting. Jadi yang kedua, berpikir secara kritis. Think critically. Ada 2 tahap di sini. Yang pertama, baca dan mengunyah, ya, chew. Seperti daging rendang, ya, tidak langsung ditelan, dikunyah dulu. Jangan baca saja, tapi berpikir. Jadi, sementara membaca, asking questions as you read. Pertanyaan seperti ini. Kenapa penulis ini memakai metode ini bukan itu? Apakah saya setuju dengan ringkasan ini? Kenapa? Kenapa tidak? Kita sementara sambil membaca, berpikir secara kritis tentang apa yang kita baca. Jadi tahap ketiga adalah begini, menjawab secara hati-hati. Nah, saya peneliti perikanan, sering sekali saya ke kampung nelayan atau bicara dengan pejabat-pejabat. Sering saya dengar, all fishermen are lazy. Malas mereka. Fishermen are always drinking and gambling. Mereka judi, minum keras. Fishermen are not poor, they just waste money. Hidup boros, mereka semua hidup boros. Now these are not careful responses. In English we call these stereotypes or generalizations. And there are no facts or data backing up these claims. So below I have written something which is much more balanced. There are many causes of poverty in fishing communities. Penyebab banyak. Some fishermen lack basic fishing equipment, and others go fishing in areas that are overfished. Jadi, tidak alat tangkap. Di tempat lain, ikan sudah habis. Others have behavioral patterns, e.g. laziness and addictions, which lead to poverty. Nelayan yang lain punya masalah tingkah laku, sikap, malas, kecanduan. Ini bisa menyebabkan kemiskinan. So you see here that this is a much more balanced and careful response. These ones are claims, generalizations. All fishermen are lazy. Mereka semua seperti itu. So it's really important that we do not write these as scientists, but instead we write careful, balanced sentences. Like lastly, you have to try. In English, we have a phrase, dive in. You just have to jump in. What does this mean? Well, I don't know if you have seen Mr. Bean. He does not want to jump in the pool. He's too scared. He's too afraid. It's very funny. But we need to write an argument. We need to present an argument. And then ask our friends, our peers, what do you think? Bagaimana ini? Baik atau tidak? Pasti kalau mereka jawab, wah ini jelek, kami merasa malu. Tapi tahap ini kita harus lalui. Kecuali kita tanya orang lain, kita tidak tahu bagaimana penulisan kita, apakah itu baik atau kurang. Nah, waktu dapat criticism dari mereka, kita perbaiki lagi, perbaiki lagi, perbaiki lagi. So you have to try. So these are the 5 elements of a good argument. Firstly, and most importantly, you have to be on topic. Everything related to the main idea. Jangan jalan ke sini, jalan ke situ. Setiap kalimat, setiap alinea, satu arah, mengikuti benang merah. Yeah, on topic. Secondly, a clear structure and focus. Thirdly, good logic. Fourthly, strong evidence. And fifthly, including linking words to make it easy to understand. These 5 elements make up a good written argument. An argument is to convince your reader of a claim. This might be some new perspective about a problem or a solution you have discovered. So let's look at this example. In this example, the problem is that growing sweet corn in Pariaman is expensive and the yield is getting smaller. Jadi masalah, jagung di Pariaman, tanam jagung itu mahal dan hasil makin sedikit. So a new solution is proposed, and the new solution is that organic fertilizer from market waste mixed with seaweed saves money and increases yield. So the new solution is begini, pupuk organik yang dibuat dari bekas sayur di pasar dicampur dengan rumput laut lebih hemat dan hasil ditingkatkan. Okay. So your argument should do four things. Firstly, it should show the lack of other solutions or problems with other solutions. Ya. Kenapa ini belum ada hasil sampai saat ini? Secondly, to think of the doubts your reader might have and answer them. This can be difficult. You need to predict what questions your reader might have as they read your work and to respond to them. Thirdly, you need to be clear, easy to understand, and convincing. And fourthly, you use strong evidence like data and expert opinion. Jadi, jangan hanya menulis, menurut saya begini, menurut saya jagung harus tanam seperti ini. Harus ada bukti. Dan kalau tidak ada bukti secara ilmiah, bisa memakai pendapat seorang ahli. So let's look at an example here. Again, Pariaman, jagung. The first thing we do is to explain what the limitations of other solutions are. Kenapa belum ada solusi yang memuaskan? Here we have, farmers have tried chemical fertilizers, but they are expensive and only work for a few seasons. Berarti, pupuk kimia tidak begitu bagus dan mahal. Secondly, what doubts readers might have. Sementara si pembaca, dia mungkin pikir, tapi di mana dapat rumput laut untuk para petani? And so we answer this question in the text. Seaweed might be hard to get, but we found that if we paid fishermen 100 rupiah a kilo, they would collect it. Berarti rumput laut didapatkan dari nelayan. And lastly, strong data. Before the farmers used the new method, they only made an average of 100,000 rupiah a hectare from corn and spent 45,000 on fertilizer. With the new method, they make 200,000 a hectare, and the compost only costs them 4 hours a week of their time. Berarti untung bersih mereka jauh lebih tinggi kalau pakai metode ini. Ini buktinya. I want to ask you a question. Which part of research is more difficult in your opinion? Bagian mana dari research, dari penelitian yang paling sulit? Is it membaca secara luas, reading widely about others' research? Or is it merancang percobaan yang menghasilkan data yang kuat? Designing an experiment that gives strong data? Or is it conducting the experiment, melakukan percobaan tersebut? Or is it menganalisa data. Or kelima, is it menulis sebuah alasan yang kuat dan logis, writing a strong logical argument? I want you to think now and answer this question. Bagaimana menurut Anda? Tahap yang mana yang paling sulit dilakukan? Well, this is my opinion, and it is only an opinion. There isn't a right or a wrong answer. But I think that reading widely, membaca secara luas, it takes a lot of time. Makan banyak waktu. It really does. When I did my PhD, I spent hours every day membaca setiap hari. 6 jam, 8 jam membaca setiap hari. Berminggu-minggu seperti itu. But without this, your research will have a weak foundation. Dan ini dasarnya lemah. So you have to read widely before you start the research. Secondly, designing an experiment, merancang penelitian itu. As I've said, this needs a strong foundation from reading, but it also needs creativity with designing methods and an understanding of data analysis. Menurut saya, tahap ini yang paling sulit dilakukan. Semuanya bisa mengikuti penelitian yang sudah dilakukan oleh orang lain. Itu mudah. Tapi untuk benar-benar melakukan penelitian baru, untuk menghasilkan sesuatu baru, itu sangat sulit. Dan kita memang butuh kreativitas. So let's move on. Conducting the experiment, if your design is good, this should be straightforward. Kalau tahap 1 dan 2 sudah baik, tahap ketiga lancar. Sama juga dengan tahap keempat, analisa. Kalau kita sudah memikirkan cara bagaimana menganalisa data di tahap kedua, tidak sulit. Waktu tahap keempat. Kemudian tahap kelima, writing a strong argument. Nah, semua mahasiswa, dosen yang tidak native speaker seperti saya pasti berpikir, wah, tahap menulis bahasa Inggris itu susah. Tapi menurut saya, kalau data sudah bagus, percobaan sudah baik, cara berpikir logis, tahap ini tidak begitu susah. Bahkan dapat dilakukan oleh orang lain. Dari native speaker, bayar orang untuk menerjemahkan. Tapi seringkali, yang paper-paper, penelitian yang sampai saya, itu gagal bukan karena bahasa Inggris tidak bagus, tapi karena kerangka pemikiran kurang bagus. Jadi tolong mengutamakan tahap pertama dan kedua kalau ingin melakukan penelitian yang benar-benar bagus. Arguments can be deductive or inductive. Here we see two different types, and often they are a mixture of both. So we collect evidence and we use a model or theory to explain the patterns we see. So on the left, you see deductive. This scientist starts with a theory. I confirm a hypothesis. I tend to do quantitative research. This is deductive research. On the right, inductive research. I start with data. I infer conclusions from my data, and I tend to do qualitative research. Two approaches, deductive and inductive, but often scientists use a mixture of both. They start with a theory, and then they see where the data takes them. Now it's video time. So only two short videos for you to watch today. Please go on YouTube and click on these two links. The first is 2 minutes and the second is 5 minutes. Please watch these two videos. Right, we have been looking at a claim, evidence, and reasoning model. Now I want to go back to the Pariaman corn example and see what a claim, evidence, reasoning model would look like for this piece of research. The claim is this: seaweed provides the sugars that fungi need to thrive. The evidence is these fungi help decompose the market waste to make a more nutritious compost. And then the reasoning is that seaweed also contains many important trace elements like iodine and magnesium that are often lacking in West Sumatran soil. So, claim, rumput laut memberi gula yang menolong jamur. Jamur membuat pupuk kompos tambah bergizi. Rumput laut juga mengandung iodine dan magnesium yang seringkali kurang di tanah Sumatra Barat. Here you see a claim, the evidence for the claim, and then the reasoning. There are many words and phrases that we use when making an argument. If we are stating a viewpoint, a position, we might write it like this: Smith, 1990, argues that, or suggests that. So argue is stronger. Suggest is, this is a possibility. You may write it like this: an argument often cited in the literature is, or another way, Pooley has proposed that, mengusulkan. Franks develops this argument further by stating that. An alternative view is put forward by Jones, who states that. Smith, on the other hand, in contrast, believes that. We often use these kind of phrases in the literature review or in our discussion when we are involving other scientists' work. Now, if we are making an argument, questioning or refuting a viewpoint, you might do the following. Conversely, that's saying the opposite. It is often stated, said, or argued that, however, this is saying, seringkali hal ini diucapkan, disebutkan, ditulis, tetapi pada kenyataannya seperti ini. Some experts would argue that ahli akan berkata atau menulis begini, however, tetapi, namun begini. And again, some experts argue that. Others, many experts agree, or it has long been assumed that, whereas, while, on the one hand or on the other hand. These are common phrases that we will see in argumentation. Some more phrases and words associated with argumentation. If a point of view is partly true, we may say this argument is partially accurate. Partly true, mostly true. But we might add the word however, which is a bit like a but. Tetapi. We may say it a different way. There is some truth, credibility in the argument. With one or two exceptions, it would be wrong, incorrect to claim that. This argument has a certain superficial logic, and so on. These are all sentences that we might use when we are interacting and comparing and contrasting different viewpoints. And lastly, for these words and phrases, you need to state your own viewpoint. When you are interacting with sources and other scientists' work, you need to finish by saying, pada pendapat saya, it's clear that, or it must be accepted, or the evidence indicates. I would appear to suggest that. Kalau kita hanya mengutip orang lain dan tidak memberi atau menulis pendapat kita sendiri, itu kurang menarik. Dan apa gunanya penelitian kita? Kita harus mengutip orang lain dan mencari kebenaran juga dari penelitian kita. Apakah setuju atau melarang yang sudah dilakukan oleh orang lain? So let's look at some bad to good examples. So firstly, the worst example. I have studied organic durian farming because no one has studied this before, and I think this will be a good business. Why is this so poor? Why is this such a bad example of scientific writing and argumentation? Secondly, Smith argued that organic durian farming would be profitable. So I have done this research into organic durian farming. What is better about this? What is still not good with example 2? Thirdly, this is the best example. Why is this one better still? Although some authors have argued that organic durian farming can be profitable, other sources indicate that other fruit tree plantations may be more profitable in the short term. Our data showed that organic durian farms produce 10% more fruit per season compared to chemical fertilizer. This increase was caused by fungi in the soil, which grew 89% faster with organic fertilizer. Please press pause on the video and think of answers to these. Have you answered those questions yet? Before you continue, please press pause and answer those questions, or think about the answers to those questions before you carry on. So the first example was poor because it was lazy. There was no other references. Tidak ada kutipan sama sekali. The reader is left asking the question, has this scientist even done a literature review? There was no evidence, no reasoning, just a claim. In this second example, this is a little better because other sources are quoted, yeah? Smith, one other source actually. But the author does not critique Smith or compare with other sources. He or she just agrees with Smith without any evidence or reasoning. Again, this is why it's so weak. There is no evidence and no reasoning. And this third example was much better because it referenced studies that both support and disagree with the theory. Yang mendukung dan tidak setuju. But then it adds new knowledge, showing how much impact organic fertilizer has had, 10% increase, and why this is the case. It provides the evidence, bukti, and it gives the reasoning. Jelaskan mengapa begitu. Okay, now it's time for you to do some work. So I want you to do 2 pieces of homework. Actually, in this week's lecture, there is a lot fewer activities and a lot less videos on YouTube to watch. So I want you to use the time for homework, part 1 and part 2. So the first thing that I want you to do is to find a research article in a peer-reviewed journal about something that interests you. Ya, terserah. Jagung Pariaman, perikanan, apapun yang membuat Anda penasaran. Secondly, I want you to read the article and try and identify a claim, the evidence for that claim, and the reasoning. Then I want you to write down the claim, evidence and reasoning, and the journal citation. To find the article, you might want to use Google Scholar or Shimago. Let me give you an example about what I want to see you do. So this is the paper that I have chosen. Towards Sustainability in World Fisheries. And this is the abstract. I'm interested in perikanan, makanya saya pilih jurnal ini atau artikel ini. Bagaimana saya pilih ini? Saya pilih di Google Scholar. So I went through the paper and I found the claim, the evidence, and the reasoning. Now I use these different colours. Claim was in merah. Fisheries have rarely been sustainable. That is a claim. There's no evidence. But later on, we see the evidence for it. Yeah? Hasil tangkap berkurang sejak tahun 80-an. There's a question. Kenapa begitu? And bagaimana perbaiki situasi ini? And the way to fix this situation is that the authors propose marine reserves as a way to reduce fishing and maintain healthy ecosystems. So what I want to see from you is just this at the bottom. The claim, for me, it was overfishing has made fishing unsustainable. The evidence, declining catches since 1980s. And then the reasoning. And then lastly, the citation, kutipan. Jadi sekali lagi, Anda bisa cari penelitian apapun, bisa dari Indonesia, bisa dari luar negeri, bisa tentang apa saja, tapi mohon bekerja sendiri, cari paper yang cukup bagus, dan waktu membaca paper itu, cari claim, evidence, and reasoning. Itu PR pertama. Kemudian ini PR kedua, ini sebenarnya lebih mudah dan lebih cepat. Jadi tolong baca Microsoft Word document yang saya kirim, question sheet, claim, evidence, and reasoning. Melakukan semua yang ditulis di dalam MS Word itu. Kemudian tolong kirim ke saya sebelum Jumat tanggal 8 Mei. Mungkin lebih baik dikirim ke saya pada jam 11 dan jam 12 siang supaya plagiarism dikurangi. Selamat bekerja semua dan thank you for listening.